And voila.
Hi.
Hi, Helen. How are you doing?
I'm really good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. It's my first time playing around with the live thing here. So
Same, yeah. Sorry, I was a bit late. I think I used the wrong link.
you are totally fine, and thank you for joining. And super excited to have you. And I hope it's not me I'm hearing myself in the background.
That could be my baby.
I think
she's squeaking.
Oh no, that's adorable. That's right. Are you a new mom as well?
Yeah, she's 5 months old.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thanks.
I know what that's like. I have a 3-year-old as well. But I'm super excited. I wanted to dive in and kind of talk about what we're going to do today. This is exciting. And so you have a new book, and I know you've got a bunch of questions. Do you want to tell me where you are in your writing process?
So for this book, I have finished it. I've redrafted it like maybe 3 times. I've tried to get some help with doing it. I'm yes, I know. I'm in a writers group, and they're very helpful. And I did a course to like try and polish my novel, which was like an online thing. So it wasn't too personal. It was very like self-motivating kind of thing, which was really helpful. I also sorry.
No, you're fine.
I also did pay someone like an editor from a publisher to have a very brief look at my pitch and help me polish it again. And then I sent it out to 3 agents in November at the same time, 3 that I selected that I thought would be the right ones for it. And I haven't heard anything back. So that's more than 3 months. So I think I'm not going to at this point. Yeah. And obviously you don't really expect to get feedback from agents as to why. So I've tried to get what feedback I can, but I don't know. It could just be the wrong book at the wrong time, or maybe it's just not good enough. I don't know.
And I'm going to speak to that, and I bet you it is good enough. And it is a matter of finding the right agent and the right pitch. My question that I have to you is, did you have a book proposal, like full proposal written out that you sent along with your manuscript?
Could you explain a bit more what you mean by book proposal?
Sure. So book proposal it's something that not everyone knows about, but it is the way to get publishers just to, yes, this is it right away. What it is, and it could be many pages. I'd say they're around 30 to 50 pages long. You only need 2 chapters. Not the whole manuscript, just 2 chapters to pitch them. In it, it's basically your why your book stands out, why your book will sell. And because all they care about, I hate to say it, is your book going to make money? Is it going to come off the shelves?
I get that.
That's why they want to choose you. So if you basically come up with a book proposal, and this is like my jam, what I thrive in on this, and what it is it's an introduction of who you are, because they don't always, unless you're some big celebrity or a known coach that's always out there that has a big platform, they might not know who you are. And even then they might not know who you are. So you want to, right away, it's your bio, but it's also about, your letter to the audience, why it's so passionate for you to write this book, why you feel it's a good fit also with these agents and with this, or the publisher you're pitching, because that's a big part too. They want to know why. They might just be thinking, because most people do, they mass send to a bunch of different people, and they don't write their cover letter to why. Part of it is like, pick a book that was similar to yours, and tell them, hey, you guys published this book, or you represented this book, and my book is similar, but it's different. And you did so well with it. And I love what you did with this book. And my book is similar, yet it's different. And here's how. And because you did so well with this book, I think mine was the right fit for you. And so that's one, writing that in the cover letter, but then also in your book proposal, which is, it's many pages. So it's going to have a little bit of that as well. Your letter to the audience kind of stating the same thing. What makes you stand out? What problem are you solving? Number one. Or is it a novel? Like if it's a novel, it's obviously different. But if it's a self-help book, and actually, let me ask you that: is it a self-help book, or is it a novel?
No, it is a novel.
So then with the novel, then it's what is the trend right now, right? So there's different trends that are happening. So like with your book, what is a similar book? And obviously exactly similar to yours, but maybe in the style of what would you say your writing or your book is similar to?
Yeah. Okay. So I wrote a brief cover letter where I mentioned books I thought it was similar to. I think maybe the bit that was missing was, and I did send, a few chapters of my manuscript as well, and the synopsis, which agents asked for.
Yes.
Is the kind of marketing angle where, and I think that's because I've got a knowledge gap there, and it's because I'm a hobby writer, really. It's not my profession. Like it to be, but I don't know the market like the agents know the market, and I don't know what's coming up into fashion. And if I say it's like a book that was popular last year, that's going to be, oh, that's so last year, right? I find that quite hard.
Not necessarily, though. Not necessarily. Okay, if you were to pick a book that has been out there, a novel or even a movie, what does your book, what is it similar to? Could you give me some ideas with that?
So I think I said it was a bit like The Wasp Factory, which is a kind of a classic book. So I thought I might be on safe grounds there in a way, because it doesn't really ever go out of fashion. But I was a bit more timid to name books that have been out more in the last 5 years or so. Okay. But then I suppose I'm missing that opportunity to explain to the agent why I'm drawn to them, I guess, is what you're saying.
So there's a little bit of both. In your book proposal that you would send, yes, you'd have the synopsis. You would have comparative book titles. And so in the section that's comparative book titles, it's about 10 books. And you're right, with that, those books would be the most recent books that have been out there that have done really well. And then you want to write the pros and cons on it, like, list out those 10 titles and list out, here's the pros of this book and here's the cons of this book, why your book is a little different and better. But when you are referring to what your book is similar to, you can go back as far as, Shakespeare and compare something. It doesn't matter how far back. When you're trying to create that picture or that image of what your book is, it's a little bit of Romeo and Juliet meets Bridgerton meets, something else that's now, like, that's giving them the idea of, oh, got it, this is a love novel, or it's whatever it might be. It's getting them to understand the kind of the story behind it, and that doesn't matter how far that goes behind. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Your comparative titles that you're comparing to, those must be in the past, really 5 years. You could have who that mentioned 10 years ago, but really in the last 5 years is going to be that. So you can have both. It's just different areas. The other thing they're going to want, you're right, is a solid marketing plan. And what I want to kind of preach about this, do you have a good website?
No, I don't have a website at all.
That's number one, is creating a website. And even just going on to Squarespace or Wix and pick a template, and then you just plug, in your information on those templates, something quick and easy. I feel like Wix and Squarespace, I feel like is better, to be honest, because you can make a better website later. If you have the money to spend, that is number one. They're going to look at that. If you don't have the money to spend, do it yourself. Just go buy, like I said, go get a quick template that's like $30, or go on Squarespace, put your photos in, put a little bit about you, put a bio in there. A website is really important. They're going to look at that. The other thing is, and do you have a plan to write more books?
Yes, I'm working on other projects. I can face up to, that was my first book. Maybe it's I've got a lot of stuff out of my system with it, and I'm going to improve and do better. So yeah, that's the plan.
Awesome. Well, I would put on there's other book ideas to come. And then the other thing you could do is previous writing samples. I would list them there. It could be a blog. It doesn't matter. It's just showing that there's an example of past things that you've done. And if there isn't, create some. Just create some articles in your own blog. That way they get to see your style of writing. The biggest thing for the agents, I have to say, is as a first-time author, it's kind of hard to get out there for the novel. Yeah. I feel like, I'll kind of dive into, there's a middle way of publishing called hybrid. And I kind of feel like that would be better for you. And I'll explain this a little bit, and then you let me know how you feel about it, because this could launch you to the next level that you want. So there's 3 ways to publish. There's the self-publishing, which you have to have a whole marketing plan yourself. There's the traditional publisher, which you've been trying to pitch and go that route, and it's hard. And then there's the middle one. It's called hybrid. And there are many. Now, if you Google hybrid publishing, that's going to get confusing. And there's many fake things out there. So be careful doing that. When I'm speaking of hybrid publishing, I'm speaking of going under a major, like a Simon & Schuster, or, someone of that level, where they've got many houses under them. Okay. So one of the houses under them is a hybrid. And what that means, it's really for first-time authors. They're going to help you along the whole publishing way. You're published under their brand. So you're under Simon & Schuster. It's just under one of their umbrellas, basically. And so what happens is you would have your book proposal. They want that for sure. That's like a must. For any publisher or hybrid, you have to have a solid book proposal. That's like number one. Otherwise, they don't take you serious enough. They just, it's because they get, and that's another thing with agents, they get thousands of submissions a day. So what's going to have yours stand out versus somebody else is honestly that book proposal. And I will say this, a client that I had no social media, no website, nothing. She had nothing. And we got her a book deal, but it was because of the book proposal that we pitched. So it is possible, and you can do this. And so with the hybrid, what's cool about it is you give them your book proposal. They'll read it. They'll read your 2 samples, your 2 chapter samples, and they usually answer pretty quick, within a week or 2, at least from when I submit, because they're used to my submissions. So you'll hear back right away. They will give feedback. And what's great about it is, and here's another thing. When you submit agents, you're going, and eventually when you do get feedback, you're going to have you're going to hear different things from every different person. And it's going to drive you mad. So what I also say is, don't shift your manuscripts because this person says this and this person says that, because they're all going to be different. They're all going to say something different. But what I would do is, if there's a common theme in each one, then I would shift that common theme, And obviously when you sign on with an agent eventually, then they're going to want it their way, and you just kind of shift it towards them. But again, you want that agent that's really going to believe in you, that really has a synergy with you, and that isn't going to want to make your project completely edited in a different way. But going back to the hybrid, what's really cool about that is, let's say they say, yes, I want more. Then you send your manuscript in, or because they're going to ask you, how far along is your manuscript? And it doesn't have to be completed. It doesn't, actually. That's a false thing that people think when you pitch a publisher. It doesn't have to be totally completed. You just let them know, I'm a month away, I'm 2 months away. If you're a year away, they're going to say, come back later. Yeah. But if you're very close, they're going to say, okay, great, send me what you have now. If they sign you on, there's no money up front with a hybrid publisher. They pay for everything like a normal publisher. However, you aren't getting money up front. So like with a standard publisher, they pay you up front, and you get I'd say for a first-time author, $5,000 to $10,000 ish. Again, it depends on the platform. But your hybrid publishing, you don't get any money up front. However, they're the publisher that you're talking to. There's no like money exchange up front, but they're going to pay for everything up front. They give an editor to walk you through all the steps. You still have deadlines. Your book actually comes out quicker. Go ahead. Like, I don't want to. Sorry. No, you're fine. I have a little one, so I know what that's like. So yeah, and your book will come out within 8 to 10 months. So I feel like a hybrid is a good idea and you don't need an agent.
Honestly, I've never heard of this before. And so I'm going to ask some stupid questions. No, is it distinguishes it from traditional publishing because it's sounds like you go direct to the publisher without an agent and potentially, and do you have to kind of, is it more DIY or is it just about the money, the contractual setup?
It's more of the money. Like you're not getting paid up front. However, they're going to help you get known. or get out there. And once you prove that you can sell so many books under that with them,
right,
then they might give you a book deal. It's the same company, but it's a different division, right? Then they might say, hey, we want first rights to your next book. I feel now the downsides of hybrid, let me give you the downside, because there's always downsides. The downsides are they're going to want you to buy so many books for you to sell yourself as well. So that's a downside. But in a way, I don't think it's a downside, because you, like, if you were to go on your website or you were to spread out to your people, you know, hey, I have this book that's coming out. I want to do some pre-sales. And you can sell a book 6 months before it comes out. Let's say you do a bunch of pre-sales for your friends, your family, your people. They're going to buy the books that you would have to buy up front before you have to pay them anyway. Does this make sense?
I think so. So how do I find out more about, I don't know, say someone who, a house that does this, or get in touch with them? Or
I can totally help you with that. And we can meet. I'll meet you offline. And
I need to find out more.
And honestly, it's the book proposal that's really just to be honest. If the book proposal isn't solid, sending to these agents, sending to these publishers, whether it's hybrid or traditional, you're not going to hear anything back. And that's really it. I will send you an example of I have an example of a few sample book proposal pages I can send you so you can get an idea. By that, there is a specific way to do it. Just because I've been doing this forever, and I've gotten only one person didn't get published out of what I've sent over. And that was because it was so niched. It wasn't a novel. It was something that was niched down that it was really hard to get. And it was easier for her to go on her own because she was very known. So that was easy. But someone like yourself, who's, I would do the hybrid. Honestly, it's the easiest way. And we can come up with a solid marketing plan as well. And I want to preach something or teach something to you in a way. So when they ask for your reach, and it's in the marketing plan, what that means is they're going to ask you right out. They're going to ask you who's on your email list. And if you're like, I've only got 20 people on my email list.
I mean, I don't have an email list.
You don't want to say that. So you want to find ways to work around it. And you probably do have an email list. If you think about who are your friends in your family, think of who do you send emails to? That's partly on your list. Don't say no, because you've got at least 20 people probably that you could think of, for 20 emails. But then think about that. Those people that who do they know that might help tell the word, right? So if those 10 or 20 people tell another 10 or 20 people, then your list is actually those 10 or 20 people plus their list. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's called your reach. How far does your arm reach out? Meaning I'm going to tell my friend Mary about it, and Mary has 10 friends, and Mary's going to tell her 10 friends, and maybe they might tell their 10 friends. It depends how far that reach can basically go, if that makes sense. But
it makes sense. Yeah. I don't think I have any reach at the moment.
You've got reach. You do. And we'll find it. It's really, this is something that I am really good at, finding that reach. And like I said, too, if you don't, then another way to do it is to, a forward in a book, having someone write a little forward at the beginning.
Yeah.
And finding someone who can write that forward that actually has that reach for you.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Then that puts you from here to here, a little higher up. So what I would do is think of some authors that have millions of books out there, because they're not going to do it unless they're paid or get something. But if you think of maybe some authors that that hit success suddenly, or maybe that are authors, or maybe even in one of your writing groups that might want to write a forward, that could help. That could help.
Yeah.
And I'd love to take a meeting with you offhand too, because I have or some people that might work as well. But writing, if you have no platform at all, getting a forward by someone who's kind of known is really going to help.
I imagine. I hadn't really thought.
That's my thought. Do you have any other questions with that? I'm sorry. I'm hoping I'm
No, I mean, that you said a few things that I hadn't even considered. I didn't even know what hybrid was. I hadn't really thought about myself as. I guess people, if they're half interested in your pitch, they might Google you, and I just kind of thought, oh, they'll see me on LinkedIn wearing a suit or whatever. It's not game enough, is it?
No, but you know what? Yes and no. Like I said, I have one. This book right here, and she'll let me talk about it. It's out. It's with Simon & Schuster. It's she didn't have a website. She had no social media, nothing. And we got someone to write the forward in the book, and she got this. So, and this was over a year ago. And what's amazing, she just recorded her audiobook. She now has a website. She's now speaking all over the place, and she now has an email list. Like it's crazy how it took off. Don't worry about, yes, these things are important, but don't focus on that. Really what needs to be focused on is the book proposal and kind of working through those book proposal steps to get you there.
Yeah. I'm listening.
Makes sense. Hi. Oh my goodness. Hi, sweetie. Aw. And who is
she wanted to see what was going on.
Aw. What's her name?
Ada.
Ada. Oh, so pretty. Hi, Ada. Yeah. Hi. You gonna get out on the fun too? Yes. Oh yes, look at that smile. Oh my goodness. Are you gonna tell some stories?
This is my show.
See, children's books is next, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that
like that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm interested. What you were saying about the proposal, and it doesn't have to be finished. Can you just? If you just got an idea. I'm not a famous writer. I'm sure that someone wouldn't want to just read my idea, would they?
Well, you would need 2 chapters to it. So yeah. So basically, yes and no. You could have the idea, the synopsis, basically, 2 chapters. Now, can those 2 chapters absolutely change later? Yes.
Yeah.
You don't have to be glued to what you send in, because it can change later, and they know that because they will also give you an editor that might shift it differently anyway. You don't have to be, like I said, don't be glued to that. You do have to have an idea of chapters.
Yes, a good plan. Yeah.
Right. You don't have to be glued to that, because that can always change later too.
Yeah.
But as long as you've got that to show, and you've got your 2 chapters that they can read, and when I say 2 chapters, make them different. Make the feelings that you're showing different. Make one, like if it's a love scene, then it's the love scene. And then this one is where they're crying and breaking up. Then so there's 2 different emotions going on, just to give you an idea. That way they're reading different. Oh, wow, this is how she writes romance, or this is how she writes breakups, or this is how she writes horror, or this is how she writes, so they can see the differences. In that. Yeah.
Because I have loads of ideas, and sometimes I just, probably like many writers, I just start something, ditch it, I've got a new one. But could you use this as a kind of way to kind of, road test them a little bit? I don't know, what do you think?
Rather than write the whole thing, you're saying? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah,
you could just kind of, I don't know, build some confidence in it if someone's, I don't know, potentially interested as well.
You could. I would say as long as you've written one book proposal before, it's really good to just switch that out with the new info. Because there's a lot of things that go into the book proposal that will stay the same about you, your platform, who you're pitching.
Yeah.
Like that's all going to stay the same. Your titles of your comparative titles, those are going to change depending on the genre. If it's the same genre, like if it's romance and all of these were your 10 comparative titles were on romance, those could stay the same possibly. But if it's a different genre, you're going to need new titles for that.
Yeah.
Your marketing can stay the same. However, I would slightly adjust it if the target, when I say target market, so let's say one book is more of a romance and one book is more of a horror, your target market is going to change, right? Like, because the romance is going to be mostly women, ages, whatever the ages are. And if it's a horror, it's going to be men and women. Do you see what I mean? It's going to change. So think about the target. So just little things in the book would change.
Yeah.
But not like, it's not far-fetched, you know? And once you have like, once you see a book proposal template, let's say it's, you know, 50 pages and you see how it's laid up, it's easy to take stuff out and replace with the new ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And just about the website, I guess it's I've never really thought about doing this. I guess it's making a website that's about me as a writer.
Yes.
And I guess, yeah, maybe I should just look at some examples of people who do it well, actually, because that's probably the best thing to do, isn't it?
I would Google your favorite authors that you admire. I would Google authors that are in your comparative titles, ones that are similar to your this particular book. Look at what their sites are. And most of them are, some are going to be different because some are so well known. It's like, here I am, you know, and like they look at a few of the books. Others are going to have all their books listed on the page. You know, they're going to be different. So again, though, don't get stuck on that because you don't have the books. Don't think about, think of how many blog articles you could have. Think of like,
yes,
even Facebook posts you might have made that were written in a certain way.
Right. Yeah.
Just different writing samples I would put on the website. So sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, even if it's like, so I might write something for my work. It might be very dry. I might post it on LinkedIn. It might be about compliance. Is it fine?
Yes, because it's showing a writing sample in a different way. So even because I'm also a publicist, and so I write. And when I write, it's different for every audience, right? I might have a client that is, I don't know, in the service industry. So the way that I write there is going to be totally different than my celebrity client. You see what I mean? It's going to be, so it's okay because you as a writer are able to adapt to the different genres you're going to write. So showing that it's on compliance, that's one aspect of writing. And then you have another sample that's romance. You could even take a clip of this book, like just a small little sample of this book and put that in there. I'm talking like not a full chapter, maybe a few paragraphs out of this particular book and put it on your site as a sample, you know, a reading, because it's going to show different things. And I would put on there when you have, I would have your website. You would have an about. So you'd have a bio on you, which I would definitely write a bio and include that you're an author, you know. Just step into that. Step into that now. I am own it. So you're about there, and then and in your bio, I would say, you know, who you are, a little bit about you. I have a beautiful new daughter. You know, I would talk about that, but I would also say my passions are, and state what your passions are about writing. Like what do you love to write about or read about? I would put that in there. It just adds more to your bio. And then I would have a contact form. Don't have your email in there because you'll get robots and stuff. But have a form, a contact form where people can fill out. And then I would have a blog. Or actually I wouldn't call it blog. I would call it writing samples. And then on there, you would go into Squarespace. You would find the blog section. You'd put it in there as a blog, but it's not a blog. It's going to be writing samples. If you need help, I can always screenshot what I mean later and send it to you. It's really easy when you're in there to do it. It's not hard. I promise. And that's all you need. And you can add to it as you go. And if you choose to write a blog on top of it, do it. It's not going to hurt. It's going to help. It also helps create SEO for your name. So when people do Google, they'll see these blog posts that will come up out there too. Yeah.
Okay, lots to think about there. Lots to do.
It's a lot of information.
Well, I mean, it's competitive, isn't it? It's tough, and like you've got to, I don't know, find an edge.
Or have, honestly, finding the edge, but also the book proposal. I'm telling you, that's everything. It's everything. And I'll meet with you offline and show you some examples just to give you an idea of what it looks like. And then you can think about it and, you know, and get an idea of what that looks like, you know, and I promise if you have that and you were to send those out, you're going to get a different response.
Okay. Great. She's not looking cute right now.
She's making all kinds of faces.
She's looking messy.
Aw. You know what? Babies are cute no matter what. They get to be messy, you know? They get to be. It's funny. There was a post on social the other day with like a baby had stuff all over their face and in their hair. And it was just, I thought it was the cutest thing ever because it's like, when do you ever get to do that?
Yeah, I do find parents of slightly older children find it really cute, but in the moment.
Mine's 3, like I said. And in the moment, you're like, deep breath right now, deep breath right now. And later on, you'll be like, okay, that was, or you're in moments as she grows. Is she your first?
Yeah.
As she grows, there will be, I never had a terrible 2s. I had a terrible 3s. Okay. And the messes are very creative. And so what I do now is I take a breath and I'm like, wow, that was very creative of you. That was, there's drawing all over the wall, let's say. And you're like, wow, those are really pretty drawings, but where do they go? And they're like, paper? And they're like, right. And then here's the cleanup rags. You're going to clean it up now. And so it's kind of fun. And then you look back and you're like, those are really darling moments that are also like, oh my God, I can't even believe this is destroyed, or permanent marker on the furniture. And you're like, this is going to happen. But, you know, enjoy those moments because
I'll bear that in mind.
Yeah. Well, do you have any other questions or anything before?
Well, I can't think of any now. I'll think of like 5 when we hang up, and it's just the way it goes.
No worries. Well, you know how to get in touch with me, and we can set up a little meeting to go over the book proposals so I can show you. I don't show them online because they're, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But I could.
No, that would be great. That would be really good.
I'll show you in a private meeting. We'll pick a time when that's good for you, and I don't mind if baby's there. It's all good. I get it. Alrighty. Well, it's nice meeting you, and
and you. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And bye, little one. Bye, Ada.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
I think I hit this button. Yeah.